playing with fuck. I don't know if you got that in there.
This podcast starts off a little bit different. Sorry about that, guys, but welcome back to the 17th episode of the Brothers of Broad Street podcast. Before we started this, Bryce and I were talking about where we get our haircuts, and we talked about comfortability level. And Bryce has been using the same barber. So have I over the past couple of years. In fact, we even come home from school just to go to our barbers and get haircuts.
Yeah, committed to the game.
Yeah.
Loyalty.
Loyalty's big, and you don't find it often, especially in sports nowadays.
Yeah, I got to stick it. I'm no snake.
All right. Anyway, guys, we got a great episode here tonight. Bryce and I are going to talk about Eagles preseason. Obviously, has not been anywhere near good. We're also going to talk about the Phillies and how they came away with a big win today. And then we're going to touch on our fantasy football draft coming up. Like I said to you guys last episode, Bryce and I are starting the first annual Brothers of Broad Street podcast fantasy draft. And that is coming up very soon, either this week or next week, depending on when all the guys can get together. But we're going to film it just like this. And you guys can see our trash talk, who picks who, and how awful Bryce's team looks by the end of the night.
There's a guy in the league, I'm not going to say his name, but begins with an R, and he, let's just say, has some ridiculous picks here and there. Bishop Sankey with like a second pick a couple years back.
Don't be surprised if you see like a write-in on the sticker and it's Jaquiz Rogers from this guy.
Yeah. Don't be surprised if Justin Tucker is a third-round pick.
Oh, man. Who picked Justin Tucker that one year, like the 7th round? Was it Ruane?
Pat Turner. Like, I think the 1 year he was in our league, he did that.
Oh, man. No, we've had some good drafts. We got away from it last year due to COVID, but we're getting it back together. We're getting the band back together. And you guys will get a good look at who picks when, our strategies, and everything that goes into the breakdown of creating the ultimate fantasy football team. But yeah, Bryce, let's stick with football right now and let's talk Eagles. Obviously, they did not have a good performance in their second preseason game against the Patriots.
Yeah, I mean, I want to say, obviously it's always preseason, so I tell people like not really to panic. Like it's just preseason. But obviously, like I think the whole entire team's vibe and everything was thrown off with Hurts, like literally leaving. I mean, like the second before the game started with a random stomach bug. I think they might have thought his appendix bursted or something.
I heard that too.
I know like sometimes that can happen, and they probably wanted to take the right precautions. I'm glad they did.
Maybe he was dancing a little bit too hard during the warm-ups.
Yeah, it was weird. Like, I don't think it was like fake. I mean, there was no reason. Like, it did look weird that he was dancing before, but things just happen. I mean, it's the way like life works. I mean, he might have just thrown the ball and something happened, or he might have drank something or eaten something before. We don't know, but I mean, I don't think it's that big of a deal. He's fine. It was good seeing Devontae Smith out there. Yeah, he had a drop, but that's not that big of a deal. You could see like his speed and his route running, like his like ability to just turn, cut corners, everything. You could see like it's there. I'm excited to see him get more reps and get that him and Jalen Hurts back like to that college form how they were, when they were in college. But everyone looks at things like crazy. Like I'm seeing like everyone's freaking out because Joe Flacco's playing terrible. There's a reason why Joe Flacco's our backup. Like backup quarterbacks are not supposed to be amazing all the time. We had Nick Foles the 1 year, and there's a couple good backups, but for the most part, backups are not supposed to be very good. It's just they're backups for a reason. They are NFL backups for a reason because they can't get a starting job. But yeah, I think people are panicking a little bit too much about that. A 35-0 loss. It's like a Belichick thing to put your foot on the gas in a preseason game. I think that's just the way he is. He's all gas, no brakes. I think, we were just messed up. I think the big thing is all I heard all week is that we dominated them in practice with, one-on-ones, and Hurts played well. And I know Watkins burnt J.C. Jackson, which he was elite. He's a
Rager had that phenomenal catch in the end zone.
Yeah, I mean, I think people just look too deep into like preseason sometimes. I could fall into that tree. I thought the Eagles looked really good against the Steelers, but the record doesn't matter when it comes to preseason. It's just about the starters. Obviously, at the end, it's after the first 2 drives, it's really all guys that are like solid. There's some starters in there, but it's a lot of guys just trying to make the team, and especially in the second half, it's all guys just trying to make the NFL, just trying to be that 53rd guy on the 53-man roster. So you can't look at it too deep. I mean, 35-0 is obviously not ideal. You want to get on the board somewhat, but also we don't have our kicker and Jake Elliott. So our whole strategy of you know, being able to be like, hey, let's just kick a 40-yard field goal, goes down the drain because, you know, we're not confident we can even make a 30-yard field goal. It's just stuff like that. I think people will just look at, you know, they pay too much into that stuff. I don't know what you think.
No, yeah, I mean, honestly, like what you said with Hurts going out right before the game started, that obviously, you know, threw a wrench in the entire plans because you have a great week of practice, you know, some like what we heard from the media. And then you go in that the offensive line, the first team offensive line was going to play, Hurts was going to play. We were going to have our first team offense out there. And then Sirianni pulled the offensive line and pulled Hurts and said, listen, none of you guys are going tonight. So like right off the bat, when you have Flacco going with all the second stringers and everything like that, the whole momentum, the whole rhythm is thrown off for the entire night. Good point bringing up Devontae Smith. When he's running his routes, everything just looks so smooth and so fluid. And it's like actually nice to see from a Eagles wide receiver. The drop catch that he had, when you look at it, someone actually on Twitter slowed it down a little bit. He was wide open for like
an hour. Yeah, he was just
for like yeah. And Flacco just completely missed him. So that's not his fault at all. So I'm not worried about him dropping a catch, obviously, especially because of all the drop catches we've had in the past. But I'm excited for Devontae Smith. Someone said that he actually limped off the field today. So that's something to keep an eye out for. I don't know if he's got like a little ankle injury or what's going on.
He looks pretty good to me. I mean, I think people a lot of times, I mean, when it comes to first round pick, especially one of Devontae Smith's, you know, category of it being like, well, he's not an offensive lineman. He's a wide receiver. We've had, obviously, Eagles fans know we've struggled with the wide receiver position. It's exciting to have him. So a lot of times, you know, he could literally miss his mouth drinking water and people are going to panic. Like it's just, you know, it's true. I mean, people are just going to panic.
I'll give you that. That's a good line.
I saw something to note, not something too big, but Jamar Chase in his first preseason game dropped, I think, the first 4 passes thrown to him, like dropped them. I watched the highlights, just full blown dropped them, just putting it out there. They passed
like he was open and dropped them, or like hand in his face.
There was like 1 or 2 where like, I mean, they were difficult catches, but as a first round pick, you should catch them. But there was 2 where it was just full blown, like in the hands, dropped, which is preseason nerves, I get, but hey,
still
Devontae Smith, like I'm saying, Devontae Smith didn't drop like 4 passes. He, you know, he made good moves. And, you know, like everybody says, they're like, oh, well, he burnt a 4th-string cornerback, but that's the point of preseason. You get out there, you're getting, you know, you're getting your toes wet. Like you're getting used to like being in an NFL stadium. Cause even though he played for Bama, he's playing again, you know, against huge crowds all the time. There's a different atmosphere when it comes to the NFL. Like he's not playing, you know, South State, Dakota, like, you know, some random schools that they play sometimes. Like he's playing top cornerbacks that, you know, all the time. So no matter what, I mean, it just looks good to see him go. I was a little disappointed with Zach McPherson because I've been hearing good things about him. He noticeably looks pretty bad throughout that whole game. The one drive I really watched, Cam Newton, what was his name? Jacoby Myers was just torching him. Had like 3 or 4 catches on the drive.
That leads to my next question with you. Was it Cam Newton showing up that night, or was it the Eagles defense just not showing up at all?
I think it's a little bit of both, but I think like it's just like a Belichick thing. Like Jacoby Myers is like one of their starting wide receivers. He gets like a lot of time. Newton is probably going to be their starting quarterback coming into the season. I'm sure that's going to change, but Cam played like pretty well for how Cam Newton normally plays. And Jacoby Myers just took advantage of a rookie cornerback. And I think the Patriots is just like I mean, we all know Belichick. He's, you know, it's something like him to put the foot on the gas type thing when it comes to preseason. That's where he finds his guys. It's like Julian Edelman, I actually saw posted, to go a little bit off topic, sorry, but he posted like a picture of him running back like a punt return in preseason. He was like, I was a 7th round pick, and like these are the games where, you know, you make the team and you're able to make an impact. And like it's crazy to think about, but he was a 7th round pick. He was a quarterback.
It's funny you bring that up. Yeah, because I think there's a video on Twitter of like Bill Belichick putting Julian Edelman in for that punt return. Edelman returned it, and Belichick turned to Wes Welker and said, "You just lost your job." Like jokingly.
He said to him, have you ever heard of who was the guy that replaced Lou Gehrig, or the Wally Pipp?
Yeah. That's exactly what it was.
So it's like just a Belichick thing, and everyone laughs and says it, but Julian Edelman turned out to be literally a Super Bowl MVP.
Yeah.
And it's just like Belichick thing. Like he wants those guys to get time. I think a lot of coaches handle preseason differently than him, but he's always just looking for that next Wes Welker, next Julian Edelman. And right now he needs to find it because they're both done. So
go ahead.
like another that's just like another thing to notice. I think everyone takes like if you notice with like there's just a couple teams that come to mind. Like I know the Ravens take preseason really, really serious. They've won like their last like 15 preseason games. Like there's just certain teams that like yeah, I don't know, they play their starters like long. Like I mean, it's kind of crazy to me, like guys like I watched like the Chiefs, Patrick Mahomes was playing in the preseason. That's a little crazy to me.
Well, I was just about to bring that up because it's like every organization has a different mentality. You look at the Green Bay Packers; they don't want Aaron Rodgers going anywhere near preseason.
Dak Prescott and Ezekiel Elliott aren't touching the field at all. But then you
Yeah,
get guys like you get guys like
out of out of all organizations, though, I would say the Cowboys actually should put their players in.
yeah, Zeke should definitely not be sitting all preseason games, especially the fact that he fumbled like 9 times last year. I get why Dak's not playing because he's not 100%, but like,
but dude, here's a like why after winning a Super Bowl championship, I get it. You know, it's Tom Brady. It's his mentality. He's his own individual. Tom Brady got sacked the other day in his preseason game pretty hard. Imagine if he lands the wrong way. You know what I mean? Season's over.
Kyler Murray got lit up, like got hit from both angles on a play, and I was like, I mean, that's crazy. I mean, Kyler Murray. I mean, the Cardinals are at that position where they could either have a monster year or a horrible year, and I mean, I think he's an absolutely phenomenal player. And
that monster or horrible year rides on Kyler Murray, depending on his.
I would also. He's one of my favorite players, so I'd hate to see him get injured in preseason. But hey, that's the way some teams want to do it. I know every guy wants to get out there and play no matter what, but I just think it's crazy seeing a guy like, especially Andy Reid, a guy like I mean, Mahomes. The whole team was out there. Hill, Kelsey, Edwards-Helaire. I mean, everybody was playing. So I mean, it's crazy to think about. But I think Mahomes got like 2 drives actually. He didn't even, he played 2 drives.
No, I remember because I checked when I turned into the game. He was still in with like 5 minutes left or something. It was like 5:47.
Yeah, it's just surprising. It's just surprising because like we only give Jalen Hurts. I think is only going to get 2 drives every preseason game, no matter what. Like good, bad, anything. He's only going to get 2.
Yeah.
So that's just how some teams handle it. I mean, I think Cam Newton got like the whole first half.
What would you do? What would you do if you're a team like, I don't know, say you're like a team like the Tampa Bay Buccaneers? Are you more wanting to play your players to get them some action, or are you more reluctant and keeping them on the sidelines and just say, listen, we'll start up week 1 and get it going?
I think it depends. Like if they let's just say Brady comes out to practice and he's killing it. He's hitting all the guys. He's making good throws. I probably wouldn't have him. Like he's like the practices, he's practicing well against other teams too. I would probably say no, but it depends. If he's coming out a little shaky, let's just say he comes into the offseason, which I'm sure there's quarterbacks that are great that come into off seasons a little bit slow. Like, they're just not where they need to be. And they need that game. Yeah, like they need that game.
Yeah.
That would be different. But yeah, I think everyone here, like Tom Brady's such a competitor that he wants to win in the preseason, and there's guys that want to win. Like, I mean, if you watch Hard Knocks, you can hear starters that literally want to get in the game and
well, that's what I heard about Jalen Hurts is when he had a little stomach bug, he was telling coach, like, listen, I'm fine. Keep me in. And Sirianni's like, listen, no, you're getting out, go get checked out at the hospital and then get back to us later.
And I agree with that decision because there's 0 point in risking him for a game that literally doesn't matter when, football is right around the corner. I mean, people forget there's only 3 preseason games this year. So there's only 1 more week and then boom, it's football season. So
yeah. And that's what another thing, just to go off of what I just asked you, is like, with COVID last year, teams didn't get to have their preseason, their warm-ups, and you see teams like how the Buccaneers really turned it on late after their bye week, like after they had a chance to reset. So that's why I asked you that question. Like, do you think it's more beneficial to have the preseason games or just to do away with them?
No, I think you got to have preseason. I think a lot of it too leads to players not getting injured as much because it's different. Like, you're sitting home, you're just doing practices, you're throwing the ball to each other, you're running routes and stuff. And then you come into a full physical game and, a Luke Kuechly type linebacker comes in and just drills you. You're not ready for that. Like your body has to get adjusted because think about it. You're playing, 6-7 months of a season and then boom, you're done for like 3 months. You're just relaxing, you're getting in workouts and stuff, but you're not getting hit. I think that's like what the big thing with preseason is, like you're getting your feet wet. You're getting ready to, you're not like you're prepared to get hit in a way.
No, 100%. And it's an interesting topic. We'll definitely talk about it more, especially as the season gets away. Because like you said, when we're discussing on when the date of our fantasy draft should be, you're like, let's wait until after preseason's over and right up to because you don't want to draft a guy. Like, God forbid you draft Devontae Adams and he comes away. Devontae doesn't play during the preseason, but a Devontae type player, and he hurts his ankle.
Yeah, I mean, it just happens.
I
It's
mean,
happened all the time.
yeah. So, to give you guys notice, yeah, we're waiting until right up until the season starts for our
I'm
fans.
big on that. That's a me thing. I'm big on wait as long as you can.
100%. But one team that definitely cannot wait to string some wins together are the Philadelphia Phillies. They dropped 3 to the Diamondbacks, the worst team in the league. Going into that series, the Diamondbacks had 38 wins and 81 losses, and we lost to them 3 times in a row. This Padres series actually came out a little bit better. We won 2 of 3. Bryce, did you get a chance to see the game a little bit today, or
I saw the game.
the series?
I saw the game. I watched a little bit last night, and I turned it off thinking that they had to win. That was my mistake. As
Actually,
always.
no. Yeah, my bad. We didn't win 2 games out of that 3. We lost 2.
Yeah, we lost 2.
Yeah, we lost 2. That was my bad.
We blew that game last night, like always, typical fashion. Phillies. I'm used to that.
Dude, are you kidding me? Like, are you kidding me? After we've talked all year, Nola has obviously struggled. Aaron Nola has not been himself. He has not been like the Cy Young candidate that he was 2 years ago. But he pitched his tail off yesterday.
Well, he was pitching a no hitter through like 6 1/3. So I was watching, and then my uncle texted me and said, "You see Nola's pitching a no hitter," and literally Machado got a hit. I was like, "You must."
He jinxed it.
But I mean, I knew he wasn't going to pitch it. He was already high up in the pitch count. It was just I didn't think it was going to happen. They're too good of a team to get no hit.
Do I like Joe Girardi as our manager? Yes, but we talked about this. We had a similar question earlier. If the Phillies don't make the playoffs, is Joe on the hot seat? Last night's ball game, in my opinion, was Joe Girardi's fault. Any pitcher, no matter how good they are, don't usually throw 9 innings nowadays. There's not many Roy Holidays. You're going out and you're finishing the game.
Yeah.
So after that 3rd or 4th time when the Padres are going around their lineup, hitters know what Nola's going to be throwing. They've seen him 3 times now. You know what I mean? So going into that 9th inning, I would have yanked Nola no matter how good of a game he had and throw, it's easier Monday morning quarterback. It's easier said than done. But still, any pitcher, if you face Scherzer 3 times, a guy like Bryce Harper, he's getting a hit off of him. A guy like Machado or Tatis, if they face Nola 3 times, the chances are you're going to get a hit off of them. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Right.
what did you think last night's was Joe's fault or just typical Phillies blowing that?
I think it's more typical Phillies blown it. I mean, what more can you do? I mean, a 2-run home run, the Tide, and then you lose it in extras. It's typical Phillies. I mean, you can blame Joe Girardi for so much, and yes, he makes decisions here and there that are questionable, but for the most part, I believe he makes the right ones, and it just comes down to the same thing. The bullpen is shaky.
Yeah.
It's shaky, and I mean, I think it's big that they were able to buckle down and win today. Kyle Gibson pitched great, and
Gibby, if they're calling him Gibby, like iCarly.
I like that. My boy Adubo Herrera. No one's talking about it. He was a big piece. He's made this team a lot better. When we were juggling around and losing games because our center fielders couldn't get hits at all.
Our center fielder started 0 for 24 or something like that this season.
Yeah, I mean, Roman Quinn is the fastest guy alive, but the issue is he can't get on base ever. And Adam Hazley, another first-round bust for the Phillies, and Mickey Moniak, same thing. So it was good to get Adubo back, and he's still sitting at a young age, 28. He's got a couple of years left. I'm happy he's back on the team. Still doing the bat flipping and everything, even when it's like a pop-up to like shortstop, he's bat flipping.
Yeah.
Some things you can't change.
I think that we were a little harsh on this player in the beginning. And I think you know who I'm talking about. He came back today, and he came back with some vengeance.
I do.
2 home runs for Bryce's boy, Rhys Hoskins. That was incredible, dude. I was talking with my dad about that last night. He's missed.
Yeah, 100%.
His injury showed the Philadelphia Phillies fan base that he's missed. No matter how tough we are in the media on him and everything like that with his first base defensive skills or whatever, Hoskins' bat in the lineup was missed when he was gone, and he provided that spark obviously for us today to come away with a win.
1,000%. I mean, it was good to have him back, and I mean, he just continues. He's having a great year. He really is. He's proven me wrong so far this year, 100%. And I can own up to that. I can own up to it because early in the season, I told you when our first or second episode when I was talking about, are you bought into him or are you not bought into him? I said I wasn't. I would sell him, and he's proven me wrong. And there's a couple of Phillies on this team that have proven me wrong, and I love to see it. I want to see him succeed, and he is. So I mean, hopefully he can just keep it up. We need to rip off some serious wins. We need the Braves to slow down. We need them to lose some. We just need to win. We got the Diamondbacks coming up. We can't, like I said, we can't do any worse against the Diamondbacks than we already did. I mean, it's literally impossible. So hopefully we can, win 2 out of 3 of those. I think we actually play them 4 times. 3 out of 4 of those would be ideal. And then we got a series with the Braves right after. I think that's the make or break. I mean, there's a lot of baseball we played. I'm still bought into them. I know I'm like going off on a little bit of a tangent here after Reese, but like people were, I had a feeling the next question was coming. Are you still bought in the Phillies? I still am. I still believe they can make the playoffs. 5 games back with over a month left is plenty of time to come back. It's plenty of time to come back.
It is. You got a lot of baseball left. My thing is, and we talked about this when we first started up this podcast, no matter who the Braves have in their lineup, what they have going on in the season with injuries or anything, the Braves are always hot in August. And they have 9 straight wins so far. And it doesn't look like they're slowing down anytime soon. I know it looked like that with the Phillies 2 weeks ago, but these guys are playing great baseball right now, and it's like scary. And a team like the Phillies, who've been so-so, they've been shaky lately, they gotta get hot now. They gotta get right.
You're definitely 100% right.
You go into that series. Sorry to cut you off real quick. If you go into that series against the Atlanta Braves and you drop 2 or 3, you could basically just drop your playoff hopes. In my opinion,
you're 1,000% right.
You got to string these wins together, and then you got to go beat them in the series.
Yeah, I mean, and the other thing is, the Braves did what the Phillies should have done. They played the Orioles and they swept them. They're beating bad teams. They're beating teams that they should beat. And the issue is the Phillies aren't beating teams that they should beat.
There is a saying that you play down to the level of your talent, like in games like that. That it happens like on football. Like if a team's playing the Jacksonville Jaguars or the Jets, and then the Jets end up coming with like a close game or whatever, that does happen at times. But if you're the Philadelphia Phillies and you're trying to make the playoffs, you got to come in hot against the Diamondbacks and be like, listen, let's just clock in and clock out and get out of there. You know what I'm saying?
I mean, I hate the fact that we got swept by them, but I like the fact that we play them again so soon, because I feel like the teams, morale will be different. They'll be like, listen, we can't let what happened before. Like, we got to catch up to the Braves. Like, the Phillies, I generally do believe that this team thinks if they make the playoffs, they'll do damage. And I believe it too, because like I said, baseball is different than basketball and football and all these other sports. When a team comes in hot in baseball, they're impossible to stop. We saw it with the Mets a couple of years ago.
Nationals.
The Royals a couple of years ago. It's just teams that are hot, teams, that win. And I mean, it's just a perfect example. There's plenty of times that Dodger team, when the Nationals beat the Dodgers, that Dodgers team is 10 times better than the national teams. But you can't stop the hot hand.
I mean, that goes for all sports. I mean, we saw last year with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. At the end of the season, they won 5 games in a row or like 6 games in a row, and then they won the 4 straight to win the Super Bowl. And
absolutely.
And hockey too. Like we were talking about the one year with the Flyers during the COVID year. How many wins did they string together, and then they went in hot in the playoffs?
The Blues 2 years ago won the Stanley Cup. They were the worst team in the league at one point.
And they have like a 0.01 or 0.01% of making it or something.
Yeah, and they got hot and they stayed hot in the playoffs, and they got all the way to the Stanley Cup and won. I mean, it's just that's sports. That's what makes sports the best. That's what makes any team can win on any given day if they perform as they should. And that's like anything. It's I laugh and I always tell people, like, every NFL team's goal, every team, NBA team is the same. Like the Houston Texans' goal this year is to win the Super Bowl. They're by far the worst team in the NFL, but like those guys think, like, there's guys on that team that think they can win the Super Bowl. I know that sounds crazy. There is guys on that team that think they can win the Super Bowl.
The 4th stringers.
Yeah, like they think they can.
But no, it's that actually just just because we're touching on the Phillies real quick. For those who don't know, Rhys Hoskins was reinstated on the team tonight, but the Phillies sent down Alec Boehm down to AAA. So Boehm, I think it's sad because after the rookie year he had last year, when he was a candidate for winning the award, he just had the definition of a sophomore slump. And I think going back down to AAA, maybe he can get reset, get focused, maybe work on his stance. Maybe something's going off where he's uncomfortable.
He needs confidence. He needs to get a confidence.
Got to get that's a great word. He's got to get that. He's got to boost it up.
This to me was a move that should have been done possibly even like at the All-Star break. I think we were waiting to make this move, hoping that he would get back on track, and he just can't. And I hate to bring it up because I brought it up last week, but the video of him filming, I don't know if you saw, or fielding, he couldn't even like it was like a basic grounder and he missed it and he just like threw the ball on the ground and like you felt like the frustration on him. Like we've all been there where like we can't get the most simple thing right because we're just in our
Can't catch a
heads.
break.
And
Yeah, sometimes you just can't catch a break.
yes, he just
Happens.
feels really unlucky right now. So and just feels bad no matter what he does. And like Deion Sanders said, like, look good, feel good, play good. Like that's true. Like, I mean, if you don't feel good, you are never gonna play good. So he needs to go in, get the swing right, hit, field well in AAA, and hopefully he gets it together and we'll be able to call him back up and maybe make a playoff push. But this move should have been done a while ago. I still have faith in Alec Boom, just a sophomore slump. It happens. But yeah, this move needed to be done a while ago, in my opinion.
Yeah, it's interesting you brought up, maybe at the All-Star break, they should have made this kind of move. I think that the trade for Freddie Galvis solidified this move. Like, I think that was like a foreshadowing, like this move is coming eventually. And I think the trade for Freddie was like, listen, Alec, either you step up or this guy's taking your spot. You know what I mean? So,
hopefully, a lot of players take things differently. Some guys, we've all played with people that, get benched or cut or, moves or something, and they take it two different ways. He can either take this and be like, hey, I want my spot back. I'm going to do everything I can to get it. Or, he could be negative about it and never get it back. I mean, we'll see what kind of player he really is. Cause this is when, he's at his lowest right now. And he's got to climb back up.
Yeah, no, 100%.
It's not like he's moving to AAA and like, he's not the type of player. He's not moving to AAA. Like he's not like a Mickey Moniak and like you send him back to AAA and he's playing the whole season there. Like this is a move like they're only hoping lasts like 2 to 3 weeks and he's back.
Mm-hmm.
Not even, probably less than that,
Yeah, that's where I was definitely wrong before the start of the season. I wrote about how I thought Alec Bohm was going to have a big year. I thought the stretch between Harper, Hoskins, and Bohm were really going to do well. Harper and Hoskins are having solid years. Bohm's obviously struggled.
Harper's having a great year.
And that leads into my next question. The Padres have been struggling as of late, not nearly as hot as what they were in the first half of the season. Obviously, Tatis has been hurt. He's moving around in between positions. He was playing right field today.
I was going to say he's playing right field.
But take bias out of this. Do you think that Bryce Harper has a legitimate shot of winning the National League MVP award?
Me being honest, 100% no. Just because I think with Tatis coming back and he's already playing really well again, I just think it's going to be really hard to win that award. It's kind of like Ohtani. He's ahead, but not nearly as much. Ohtani's already the MVP. Might as well give it to him. But
crazy what he's doing out there.
Yeah, he's unbelievable. But yeah, I think it's just one of those things. Like Harper missed a lot of the beginning of the season, which hurt him. I think he honestly probably missed close to a whole month, maybe even a little bit more altogether in the season.
I mean, the wrist and the face injury.
Yeah, he was, and I think also the NL, like it was DeGrom's at first, then DeGrom got hurt. The NL definitely the MVP really isn't like going to be like a solid MVP. It's just going to be like it's not nearly like how the AL is. Like Ohtani won it. Like it could be like anybody, but I just think with Harper, he hasn't played enough. His stats aren't there to win it. I think Tatis is, unless something really crazy happens in the last stretch of the season, I feel like he's got it pretty wrapped up. But he's definitely second. He's definitely the second guy behind like a Trey Turner's right in that mix. But those are
Max Muncy. Max Muncy's having a solid year for the Dodgers as well.
Yeah, like you think about it, like Max Muncy is like fourth in the MVP. I think at odds wise, last I checked was like a week ago. He was fourth, Trey Turner was third, Harper was second, and Tatis was first. But it's crazy to think like Max Muncy, who was having before All-Star break was having an unbelievable year. I don't know how he's doing now, but the thing about it, like Max Muncy's like a MVP, like legitimate MVP candidate. It's definitely a little bit of a weaker year for the NL when it comes to that category.
Yeah, I was looking at like Muncy's average is like 270. But, he's made up for that. His home runs and his RBIs are at a ridiculous rate. But with Tatis, numbers, I think Tatis leads Bryce in every category except OPS right now. And the only argument that I think Bryce can make for himself in this last month in the season is if the Padres continue to slip and the Phillies ride off of Bryce Harper's success and him playing well, if the Phillies win that division title and the Padres only settle for the second wild card spot, that might be a case for Bryce, meaning
Well,
like
yeah,
he led his team to a division title. Tatis led his team to a wild card spot. Does that make sense?
no, you're for sure right on that, but I can make points for both sides. Like one, like I mean, you look at Otani, his team isn't going to make the playoffs, and they're actually having like a pretty, below average year. He's going to win it no matter what. And yes, I get that he's so far better than them, but I think also MVP people forget it's really a stat award. Like you know what I mean? Like there's been plenty of times I'm sure that teams have a player has won MVP and his team played terrible. I mean, Otani literally is an example of that. His team is pretty bad and he's playing unbelievable.
Yeah, I was just going off of like if they're that close, like
Yeah, but then like
categories,
I was going to say like
then like a deciding factor might be who did what with their act, like who was most valuable to their team.
yeah, and I was going to say like Harper, if the Phillies are going to win their division, Harper is going to be the main focal point of that run of like his stats. I assume are going to be unbelievable.
That's another good question. Who just going off of like most valuable? Take a look around the league. What team could like let's just take Tatis and Harper, for example. Would the Padres be better off? Like, say Tatis got hurt and the Padres didn't have him. Would they be better than the Phillies without Harper? Or would the Phillies without Harper be better than the Padres without Tatis?
That's close, man. That's really close. But I'd probably give it to the Padres by literally a hair. Like,
I think
just
the
like
Padres have better pitching in the bullpen.
that's what I was gonna say. They have better pitching, even though they've got better pitching. Their bullpen's not nearly as bad as ours.
Yeah, that's an interesting question because when Bryce Harper came to the Phillies the first season, we obviously were a 500 win team. We struggled, but someone asked me the question. They're like, "Imagine if we didn't have Bryce Harper," and I'm thinking to myself, like, "Oh my God, we'd probably be 10 games below 500." You know what I mean?
Oh, we'd be more than that.
So, like, especially this year with how well Bryce has been playing, and we saw the impact that just Reese Hoskins had on our team. Imagine if we didn't have Bryce Harper, I think it would be a significant drop off.
No, yeah, we would be the team would be much, much, much worse.
Yeah. Talking about like injuries or like losing, when's Trout coming back?
I don't know. You might as well shut it down for the year at this
What's
point.
going on with him? What was his
I
thing?
don't know. It was something like a foot or an ankle or a hamstring. I think something like that. And yeah, I guess it just took him out for the season.
Jeez. It's a shame. I love watching him play.
I mean, obviously he's the best player in baseball, hands down by far.
Could you imagine being able to watch both Shohei and Mike in the prime of their careers? Like to take what Shohei's doing
and be bad, and the team be actually bad. It's just unbelievable how they're bad. Like with Anthony Rendon, they have potentially 3 top 15 players in their starting lineup every day when healthy, and they probably still can't make the playoffs.
Hear me out.
Jared Walsh is like unbelievable this season too. Their first baseman.
I think that the Philadelphia Phillies are the Los Angeles Angels of the National League.
Yeah.
We have such high contracts to aging veterans, no pitching, and every year we have our spurts of greatness and then we just never make the playoffs. Like the Angels have had big names for years and they just can't get over the hump. Like I think they've been to the playoffs once in Trout's 9-year career.
It's just crazy. Like baseball is so much more different than all those other sports. Is like you can have one stud player, but he's not going to win you a title. You got to have the whole team. The whole team's got to be there clicking.
And it's just crazy when you look at the team like the Los Angeles Dodgers. They don't just have one superstar. These guys got about 5 or 6 superstars. And
superstars.
Like Walker Buehler, you could make an argument like he's probably the second best pitcher on that team. I would take Scherzer over him in like a win-all game. But Buehler is their second pitcher, and he's a Cy Young candidate.
Probably the second best. He's probably the second or third best. Well, obviously, I'm forgetting DeGrom, and I know I love Zach Wheeler, but I mean, he's either the third or fourth best pitcher in the NL, and he's probably the second.
You got
Kershaw,
Cody Bellinger, Kershaw. You have guys like Trey Turner now.
Julio, what's his name?
Urias, yeah.
Yeah, he also, I mean, people are forgetting Dustin May. Dustin May's hurt, and he's out for the year. Dustin May is their 5th guy in the rotation. I don't even think he might even like fall out of the rotation. He'd be, I'm telling you, probably the number one, the ace of most teams. Dustin May, he's an absolute stud.
I would love to have him.
Yeah, he would be the number one for sure, and he's going to be the 5th guy in that rotation, which is crazy.
Yeah. I know he struggled a little bit last year, but I remember watching the World Series and him coming in, and this dude was just pumping
I mean,
99
he's only
every
like
day.
20. He's like only 20 years old. The
And he was
Padres, I don't know
pumping.
who it is. I don't know who their GM is, but man, that guy he doesn't miss. He just
I think
doesn't do it.
they're they're the definition of the rich getting richer. I mean, they're just buying players left and right. Like, imagine if they had Trevor Bauer.
It's crazy.
Imagine if they had the Cy Young of last year. They would have their starting rotation would be Bauer, Scherzer, Bueller, Kershaw, David Price, or Julio.
I know a perfect example is like, I mean, Bauer was pitching unbelievable for them until the whole incident happened.
Yeah, exactly. And imagine if they would have, dude. It's crazy. And when I think about it, I'm like Scherzer's with the Dodgers. It's just wild. But another team that's caught fire in August is the Yankees. And I know our friend Nick Newtile was chirping us the other night. They are now, if the playoffs started today, they'd have that wild card spot. They just beat the Red Sox up pretty good. How do you see the Yankees season ending up? Do you see them in the playoffs? Do you see them making a run in the postseason, winning the World Series? What do you say?
The same thing every year with this team. I mean, like, it's like the Phillies. Yeah, oh my God, they're on fire. They're going to make the playoffs and they're going to be out in the first or second round. Like, it's the same thing with the Yankees. It doesn't matter. Stanton's going to fold in the playoffs. Judge will get quiet. It's just the same thing with them. Their pitching's not there. The Yankees fans are getting all hyped up for no reason. It's not going to happen. You're not winning the World Series this year. It's just not happening.
Shout out to Newt. Listen, brother, I'm sorry. The Yankees are not winning the World Series this
Yeah,
year.
I'll do something. I'm trying to think of something I would do if they won the World Series. Like, I'm trying to think of, like,
Mail it in. Newt.
I'll do the fantasy, like, punishment. I'll do the Waffle House thing. If the Yankees win the World Series, I'll spend the 24 hours in a Waffle House, or like eat a pancake and get an hour off each time. That's what I'll do. You heard it here first. If the Yankees win the World Series, I'll do that.
All right, there it is. It's set. Yeah, it's crazy because they've won 9 straight, and there's another team that I can't think of that's won 9 straight. I don't know. Bleacher Report posted something the other day, but a couple of teams are getting hot lately.
The Orioles are certainly not that team. I think they've lost 15 straight now by double digits, by double digits or something, or by 2 runs or more.
But yeah, no, it's an exciting time for baseball right now. The games are getting much more meaningful. One last question to talk about the Phillies. Wheeler had a not Wheeler performance the other night, allowing 6 earned runs. Where does that put him for his case for Cy Young? Does it take him out of the race? Is he still like, he's not affected that much?
I still think he's number 1, or he might be 2. It's between him or Bueller to me. DeGrom's out because he's not playing for the rest of the year. Like I said it earlier in the season. DeGrom's great for those 2-3 months, and then he's out for the rest of the year. It's the same thing with him too, which is a shame because he's unbelievable. But yeah, don't think DeGrom can win just based off of how many games he's played. It's between Zach Wheeler and Walker Bueller, and it's going to come down to the last month. It's going to come down to the last two starts for sure.
Yeah.
We'll see that. Right now, I still give the edge to Wheeler. There's no denying he's had an unbelievable year, and so is Walker. But I just got to give it to Wheeler. Obviously, I'm biased. I'm the biggest Phillies fan ever, but I just think you can't deny what Wheeler's done on the mound this season, especially being a guy that kind of came out of nowhere, similar to Bauer last year. Yeah, the talent was there, but he's had great. I mean, his first season with the Phillies was unbelievable. A little, overshadowed with the fact with the whole COVID thing, but like you expect this out of Walker Bueller. You expect a Cy Young type guy all the time. We were expecting Wheeler to be great, but man, he's outdone his expectations by a good amount, and I think that's why you got to give it to him a little bit more. Just similar to Bauer, like you knew it was there, and then he showed it last season that he can be a Cy Young guy,
especially with the team he has. I'm not taking anything away from Bueller. The dude is a stud.
He's listening. Don't upset him.
Oh, he'll be on the show eventually.
Yeah. Our people are in contact with each other.
Hold on, I just gotta. All right, we're starting back up right now.
We're good.
My bad.
Business call.
That was my agent. He was just making sure that we were doing the podcast.
That was Walker. Yeah. That was Walker.
That was actually it. Making sure we don't say anything bad about him right now. But all right, we're back. We're back going. We're live. But with the Dodgers, great offensive team, if they get out to an early lead, that just gives Buehler all the confidence in the world to go out there and just pitch his pitches. You know what I mean? Like, because he's got that cushion. With Wheeler, I mean, every game for Wheeler's like a do or die because you don't know what you're getting out of the Phillies lineup. You're either getting a team that can't hit for anything, or you're
either getting 10 runs or no runs. Like there's like no in between.
So just that's the one difference. But it's interesting. As a Phillies fan, even if they don't make the playoffs, it'd be cool. Imagine getting Harper MVP and Wheeler Cy Young. That'd be sick.
And then not making the playoffs.
That'd be sick.
Imagine someone tells you your team's going to win you're going to have the MVP of the league and the Cy Young of the league, but your team is not going to make the playoffs. That'd be crazy.
I'd be content. We only got about like 20 minutes left here, so I just want to touch on something. Dude, did you have a chance to look at Netflix yet?
The Malice in the Palace?
Malice at the Palace, baby. If you guys have not checked out the new documentary, Untold Malice at the Palace, even if you're not a sports fan, do yourself a favor and take the hour and a half and watch that documentary. It was unbelievable. Unbelievable.
Oh, all-time quote by the guy that the guy that said he was like, yeah, and Ron Artest sucker punched me, kind of, a soft move. The all-time comment by him, and then they immediately show the video of him squaring up to Ron Artest. Just that's all time. That's just might be a top 5 moment of all time.
Oh, it's great. And that was, that was so interesting for me about it. You get the players' perspectives. You get Jermaine O'Neal's, you get Steven Jackson's, you get Meta World Peace. And that was awesome. Like I don't watch many documentaries or movies, whatever you want to say. I'm not a big TV kind of guy, but The Last Dance was incredible last year. This was up there. This was good.
This was like a little present before like something. Like it just came out of nowhere. It was quick. It's not too long. It's, only one episode, but man, it was great. It was so well done. And like you get, you finally get that perspective from like the players and how like, everyone just assumes the same thing. Ron Artest, Steven Jackson, not really much Jermaine O'Neal, but like Steven Jackson and Ron Artest had that reputation of being like kind of like those gangsters, like punk guys, like guys that are willing to fight, like they don't care. So, getting their perspective was nice. And like, obviously like what happened was just crazy. And like, I don't think that happens anywhere else besides like probably like a Detroit area. And
I just think at the time of the NBA, there wasn't much security. Like even now it's going on with.
No, yeah. What they talked about in the documentary, which I mean, a spoiler, I guess. I mean, what happens, but
no, yeah, if you're a sports fan,
they said there was only 3 or 4 police officers in a stadium of 10,000 people, 15,000 people. That especially, hey, not here to judge, but a city like Detroit, which doesn't have the best reputation, that's crazy.
Yeah,
that's crazy.
I mean, like even now, like just I guess after seeing that documentary, you just have to put more security. Like, those cameras were able to see who was actually in the fans, throwing the bottles and all that kind of stuff. It's like on Twitter the other day with these fights are coming out, these preseason games. These cameras are able to get it on. They didn't have phones and stuff like back then to record things, but
nothing beats a bleacher fight.
The documentary as a whole was awesome. Highly recommend.
I want to give a shout out. I feel bad for the guy. Ron Artest went up to the stands and hit the wrong guy. Sorry. Shout out that guy. That just is a tough scene for him. He was just trying to enjoy the game and he just gets sucker punched by Ron Artest. Like, I mean,
there's a podcast called Club Shay Shay with Shannon Sharp. And after I watched the documentary, Shannon brought on Meta World Peace. I'm like, I have to listen to this podcast. If you have like a half hour, 45 minutes this week, check it out.
Oh yeah, I'm definitely checking that out.
But they progressed through Meta's entire life, what led him to, his dad was a fighter, and then that's where he got a little bit into fighting. But he says that he's now friends with the guy that he punched by accident. Like they're all good now.
Yeah, I mean,
I thought that was so funny.
You had to feel bad for that guy. I mean, literally just gets. The best part about the whole thing is like when Steven Jackson's like the guy's like, yeah, some guy threw a drink and then boom, and you just see him. Steven Jackson just drops this like 5'10", 160-pound dude. I mean, people don't realize like these guys, and like we said, they're iconic. Like everyone talks about it. And I listened to an interview about with Tim Donaghy. I listened to an interview with him, which if you guys don't know, that's the ref that had the betting scandal. He actually reffed the game, and he talked about in a podcast, well, on Part of My Take, he was like, I still think the biggest miracle that night is if Jermaine O'Neal doesn't lose his back foot, that guy's dead.
We
He's
talked about the other night when we were hanging out.
1,000%. That guy, I think they go over it a little bit in the documentary too. If he doesn't lose his back foot, or Reggie Miller said it. He said, him losing his back foot is the best thing that ever happened to him.
Life-saving. Yeah.
Because once you guys watch the documentary in the fight, you'll see the punch. No doubt whatsoever. That guy would have been in a coma. That was 50 mile. That he put everything he had into it. He ran with the pace. I mean, you got to think Jermaine O'Neal is a 7 foot, 250 pound plus athlete hitting a normal person. It's not going to end well.
Yeah, the documentary is great. I read a book this year, Talking to Goats by Jim Gray, the sportscaster. And he was actually at that game, Malice at the Palace, and he talked about it in his book. So you got a little bit of like a excerpt from his book, and then he was in the documentary as well. And just the different experiences and perspectives that everyone had on that night. It was
also a crazy thing. The cop that was like went up with the pepper spray and was going to pepper spray Reggie Miller.
Yeah.
I mean,
how do you work in Indiana, or how do you like just watch and not work? He didn't work. He worked in Detroit, but how do you go to a basketball game and not know who Reggie Miller is? Like literally one of the greatest basketball players of all time.
Like he's a legend. He's literally he was like a 20-year NBA vet, and he also let's also cut to the chase. Reggie Miller is significantly taller than the average human being. Like if I went up to Reggie Miller, he's going to be 6-7 inches taller than me. Yeah, I'm going to assume the guy with the suit next to Meta World Peace is in the NBA. Yeah, he's not just a random fan that got onto the court, but.
No, yeah, it's good.
Shout out that guy. Thought he was just going to mace one guy, and the whole crowd was going to.
Documentary was awesome, and then they kind of at the end go into how Meta requested a trade. Ron Artest at the time requested a trade, switched his name, went to the Lakers.
It is a shame. I mean, obviously that ruined. That was Reggie Miller, who was a great player and never got a ring. That ruined his shot at getting a one last title with the players suspended. Well,
that's my question. Would say nothing happened. Say Malice at the Palace never occurred. They had their team as is. Reggie, Jermaine, Steven, Ron Artest. Does that team win the championship that year?
No. Everyone needs to take it down a little bit.
Dude, they were in the Eastern Conference Finals last year against Detroit.
I'm not saying they weren't, but there was plenty of good teams. The Kobe Bryant era was still going. I mean, listen.
But Detroit beat the Kobe Bryant team.
I know, but I mean, and it happened. It was crazy. But listen, you can't give a team a title. You never know what could happen. Jermaine O'Neal could have. Jermaine O'Neal could have torn ACL the next game. You never know.
Yeah, I'm throwing a what if out there. That
was a great team. There's no denying that whatsoever. It's a shame what happened, but I have a question for you. Do you think the punishment for all the players was fair? I want your opinion, and then I'm going to give mine.
Honestly, they were defending themselves, and I think it would have been interesting if the police did. Like, you remember the whole investigation with the chief of police of Detroit?
Yeah, that cop did a phenomenal job.
So after he did that and was able to find everybody, I think the NBA would have been able to give fairer suspensions or fairer discipline after they got the investigation. After the investigation was concluded, then they make their decision. I know it's easier said than done, but I mean, to suspend Ron Artest that entire year, I mean, dude, he got a beer can thrown at him, and then he was attacked once he went to go defend himself. So that's just my perspective.
I think, in my opinion, they definitely deserve to get suspended.
Yeah.
No matter what you say, it's part of being an athlete. Things get thrown at you. Is it wrong? Yes. Things are said that shouldn't be said. You hear that all the time, but that's part of being an athlete. You're going to go to cities like Philadelphia, whatever, this and that. And I could tell you, sometimes I don't say nice things. Like, it's the way life works. I mean, did he have a right to do what he did? Yes. Like, Jermaine O'Neal had a chair thrown at him. I get why he was throwing punches and stuff, but yes, they definitely deserve to get suspended. I mean, you saw Steven Jackson was throwing like haymakers. Like, he was trying to hurt people. They have to think.
But those guys were literally hitting those players in the back of the head.
Yeah. I mean, you got to think though, like, at the same time, like, me hitting Steven Jackson is a lot different than Steven Jackson hitting me. And I know that doesn't make it right in any sort of way, but these guys they have to remember, they are world-class athletes and we're normal human beings. Like it's just
I know. I mean, like
don't get me wrong.
the incident with Russell
20
Westbrook.
games. I feel like 20 games, like 30 games would have been fair rather than like a year for Ron Artest. Definitely a significant suspension, whether you say it or not.
The the incident with Russell Westbrook this year in Philadelphia, like if there weren't bars or security or gates, like imagine if Russell Westbrook even said that in his post game conference, like that dude wouldn't have thrown a can at me if I was able to do something about it. You know what I mean? So like there's where I'm defending the players because that's just not it's not right at all. Like yeah, you say like you're
The Isaiah Thomas when he yelled at him and the dude was like, "I just wanted a frosty." That's all time.
yeah, like you said, like every fan heckles at a player. You
Like
know,
I mean,
you're always
like,
chirping, but
like it's a perfect example. Like I mean, like some guy, like a fan in Philly is going to yell, who doesn't care, is going to yell "F you" at a guy shooting a basketball. He can't take offense to that.
yeah, no,
These fans
but
are paying hundreds of dollars to watch
but
you play your game. Throwing things, throwing objects, 1000% in the wrong. But yelling to me, to a certain extent, obviously not getting too out of hand. Like I
that
don't think there's anything wrong with a "you suck" or "F you." I really don't think there's anything wrong with that.
but
That's
like the one like you just said, the one fan coming down the court during Malice of the Palace and he squares up with Ron Artest, like
the guy goes kind of a soft move. He just sucker punched me. No, he didn't. Like that's the best part.
Yeah.
That guy is just like, come on.
When you do that, like you deserve what's coming next. You know what I mean? It's just like, dude, you're squaring up with an athlete. So
Yeah, I mean, still, that dude's lucky to be alive. Jermaine O'Neal killed him. He should have died in the Malice of the Palace. He should have died.
it's crazy. The documentary is awesome, and also this is kind of off topic. I got to throw it out there. If you're a movie guy and you're on Netflix again, number one right now in the rankings is this movie called Sweet Girl. And the movie, if you enjoy like fast paced thriller, like crime, just like upbeat, edge of your seat kind of movie, the movie is insane. And not gonna say anything, like just the movie had me literally, it was insane.
All right, I might have to check it out.
You got to check it out. If you haven't yet, Sweet Girl on Netflix, and obviously Untold Mouse at the Palace. Even if you're not a sports fan, you'll really enjoy the documentary.
It's good to get perspectives of guys you wouldn't normally see in the media. Like, yeah, we see, guys like, we see Kendrick
Ron, Trae Young.
It's like we get their opinion all the time. It's different to see a guy like Steven Jackson, and especially with the way the NBA was a way different 20 years ago. Back, that was, and it led to a lot of different changes. Like, I mean, the whole gangster thing and how like AI and all them had to stop wearing like,
Oh yeah, because David Stern changed the suit. He changed the policy for uniform.
I get people obviously like David Stern was in an extremely tough position. I mean, obviously when something like that happens, you got to kind of pick one side and roll with it. Like you can't really be in between both of them. It's just like he was in a tough spot. I get the decision he made. Do I think Ron Artest got suspended and Steven Jackson them got suspended too long? Yes, but I get where he was coming from. He had to make an example just in case this ever happens again, because I get why he did it. Because think about it. Now everybody knows, like, hey, if I run into the stands and punch a fan or whatever, I'm done for a year.
Yeah, I think there's just got to be a penalty for fans doing what they do. Like obviously the Sixers fans.
But what they've done a good job. Like I mean, they ban fans for life now all the time.
Yeah, no, it's good. It's getting much better. Yeah, once again, if you guys haven't checked that out, it's awesome, and I loved it. Start to finish.
Meta World Peace.
Yeah, but Bryce, check out that podcast with him on Shannon Sharp's Club Shay Shay. It's awesome.
He's just Ron Artest, Meta World Peace. He was just like,
because they talk about Mouse of the Palace, but they also talk about like today's NBA, and then back then when Ron Artest played, and he said that Michael Jordan in today's NBA would average 50.
Yeah, no doubt. Jordan.
And I go, okay, so would Michael Jordan average 50 points in today's NBA?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Not even close. He would drop 50 points a game, no doubt.
Wow. All right, switching gears, just before we wrap it up, like we said earlier, if you haven't already, subscribe to the Brothers of Broad Street podcast. You can find us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube. Bryce and I are also on social media. You guys can find us there. But we are also starting the first annual fantasy football draft. That will be taking place very soon. I know we can't discuss picks or strategy or anything like that, but who do you see as the biggest sleeper in this year's draft?
I don't know. I don't feel comfortable answering this question. Do I feel like the biggest sleeper in the draft is? Honestly, and there's a couple guys that I've looked at that I feel like are going off the board, a little later than I expect. I wouldn't necessarily say he's a big sleeper, but I think, and I said this before, and I get everyone's really high on Justin Jefferson being the second year guy, going to have a big step. But I think, and I still think, and I say to this day, and everybody knows that the best wide receiver in that draft was CeeDee Lamb. And I think this is the year he really proves it. I think he's going to have a terrific year as long as Dak stays healthy. If Dak stays healthy and is able to play, CeeDee Lamb, I think, is going to be the number one guy. And I get there's Amari Cooper there and Michael Gallup and Zeke, and there's plenty of mouths to feed. But as we've seen over the last couple of years, Dallas Cowboys defense can't stop a high school team. And they got to keep scoring. And, Dak's looking to prove himself. He wants to come back and be better than he was before injury. He's getting, heavily doubted coming off some serious injuries. I think he's going to want to have a big year. And I think CeeDee Lamb, from what I heard, I've been watching Hard Knocks, and from what I've heard, I've been reading on some preseason and training camp news that he's been significantly better than he was last year, which is saying something because he was still pretty good last year.
I just want to throw that out here. Bryce and I we built this podcast on our love for Philadelphia sports. And
no, it hurts for me to say. I mean, it still bothers me that we didn't trade.
Bryce you could have picked any player in the NFL, and you pick a Dallas Cowboy. I'm just throwing that out there for the fans because
I know. I mean,
I can't even look at you right now.
Fantasy is a whole different is a
whole new ball game. Yeah.
I mean, you got to. I mean, at the end of the day, you got to if I'm sitting with the 7th pick and I got to pick Ezekiel Elliott, you got to pick the best guy on the board. You got to take your fantasy bias through your love for sports. You got to take it somewhere else. But yeah, I think that's a big name. Like, I mean, I don't necessarily think he's a sleeper. I think he's still going in like the 4th or 5th, maybe 6th round or something like that around there. But I just think he's more of a guy that's, people look and they're like, when you're drafting in fantasy, you're always looking for who's the number one guy on their team, like who's the wide receiver one. And I get there's questions on whether he is the wide receiver one or not. But to me, I think he is he's due for a really, really, really big year.
No, I'll give it to you. Especially when you look at the Dallas Cowboys as a whole, their defense is awful. So you have to expect that the Dallas Cowboys are always going to be losing. Therefore, Dak Prescott's always going to be throwing the ball to try to get him back in. And CeeDee Lamb obviously is a great option to throw too. My sleeper, I'll stick with wide receiver. And I feel like this guy's name has just been kind of forgotten about due to his injury last year. He plays for a team that kind of did well without him. Odell Beckham Jr. has been.
Yeah, I was going to say.
Yeah,
I was going to say him honestly, but I went with CD instead. But I was going to say Odell. I actually, I agree with you. I think Odell's due for a big year as long as he can stay healthy.
The dude's a phenomenal athlete when he's healthy. You're entirely right. And listen, I expect Baker Mayfield to have a bigger year than he did last year. Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt, obviously in the backfield, gives defenses many problems. And then you also have Jarvis Landry and Austin Hooper as a tight end who's good catching it. I think the Browns as a whole are going to be very good this year. And I expect, hopefully he comes back fully healthy. Odell, I could see him being the sleeper this year.
Who do you think is, from what you've seen so far, because a little bit overrated, somebody that you were like, I'm surprised he's going that like early?
Early? I've been like looking up obviously mock drafts on ESPN or like seeing where people are falling. I don't like Ezekiel Elliott as high as he is. And I'm not just saying that because I'm an Eagles fan. Ezekiel Elliott had a down year last year.
Fumble problems, big time.
And the Dallas Cowboys offensive line is obviously 1 year older. They can't stay healthy. And we've seen if that offensive line is not fully intact, Zeke can't get his. Zeke struggles. And I don't see him as the top 6 player that they're ranking him, top 7, wherever they're ranking him. I would see him as like late 1st round or like 1 or 2 picks 2nd round. I would take Aaron Jones ahead of Ezekiel Elliott, but he's not going.
I get that, but you can't. I always like to say, Zeke is still Zeke, man. I mean, he's like he gets in the end zone almost every game. I mean, he knows how to. Obviously last year was different. It was just a down year, and I think with Dak or with it's a lot different. A lot of people saw him like, hey, with Dak being out now, they're going to really run to him. I think he's going to struggle a lot more without Dak because that takes away guys, the wide receivers. But I get why you think that. Zeke's still a phenomenal player. I think he's going to have a big year. But a guy that I think is going too early, and listen, people know if you've drafted this guy before, you hate him. His name is Joe Mixon. It's the same thing every single year with Joe Mixon. It's a broken record. You can go back in time 2 years from now, or 2 years ago, and then last year. It's the same thing with Joe Mixon. Oh, this is the year he breaks out. This is the year he goes off, and it's the same story with him. I get that Giovanni Bernard's gone. I get that he's the number one guy. It doesn't matter. Joe Mixon's just not it when it comes to fantasy.
I think Mixon's a very good talent. But
I
the
think he's great.
The Bengals are not good. The Bengals are just simply not good.
I think he's a great player, but there's a difference between being a great fantasy player and a great player. And I know that sounds weird, but that's the truth because great players can catch the ball 7 times and get 70 something yards and get a ton of first downs, but that's only 14 points in a fantasy league. When it comes to fantasy, you want guys that get those irrelevant touchdowns, like Mike Tolbert. People used to start Mike Tolbert. He'd get 3 carries a game, but all 3 of them would be touchdowns.
Mike Tolbert, that's a blast from the past.
Yeah, fantasy's a whole different ballgame. Those guys that get the guys that get the goal line carries, the guys that you look at guys like that.
No, yeah, I'm excited.
Especially with us we're PPR guys, so we want guys that catch the ball a lot.
Oh yeah, and to give you guys the parameters of our league, we're a 10-team PPR league. Flex can only be running back, wide receiver, tight end.
We should do the draft order right now. We should just do it
live on the air.
We should do it live on the air.
Let's do it right now.
Yeah, we should just do it right now.
That way people can see me doing it. Therefore, they can't deny anything.
Exactly. That's a great idea.
Wow,
You got to give.
I'll give you one.
That's like the Derek Jeter, brother or whatever thing where he lifts the cap. The little kid. You ever see that?
Yeah.
That's one of them.
Put that GIF in there, yeah. Oh man.
I don't know if you have an app that does that for you real quick, or you want to
you could do random number generator with names.
Yeah, we should just do that. Rip them off real quick. I mean, it's not like the guys can argue either because it's literally on. It's on.
Wow, this is nerve-wracking, dude.
Yeah, no, I'm nervous a little bit, but I like the idea. I think it's solid.
Wow. All right, Bryce.
If I get the number 1 pick, I'll announce my selection right now.
Ruane, Rich, Newt, Rob. I'm throwing this out there right now, and I would say it to his face even if he wasn't here. I'm very, very reluctant bringing Rob Lee into the league. He says he knows football, but I have my doubts.
I'm feeling I'm not too confident in him. I could definitely see my prediction is Ruane and Rob. One of those two will be last place for sure.
All right, let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. All right. We're in.
You did it.
No, wait. What the?
This is big stuff happening, folks. This is life changing. This is breaking news.
Here we go. Now I'm doing a wheel picker, like one of those wheels that you spin.
No, yeah.
Just gonna type it back in again. Bryce, Rain.
This is big stuff, folks. This is you're watching some serious. This is breaking news.
That's a great idea, dude. I'll give it to you.
Yeah, right. That's what I thought it was good. Yeah.
Sorry for taking long for you guys watching. You can definitely fast forward this on YouTube or through the podcast when you're listening. But
I'd love to see guys like Ruane and Rob get the 4th or 5th pick. I would love to see that.
One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 10. All right, I got 10 names in.
All right, let's see.
You tap to spin. I'll put my phone up on the screen.
By the way, let's put this out there right now. We're gonna do it by whoever Jim picks first. They get 1, 2, 3, etc.
Yeah. So the first name selected, here's another thing. I'm throwing that out here right now. If a name gets picked twice when they're already picked, we just spin again.
Yeah, just spin
Spin
again.
again. Yeah, no. So I'll show you guys right now.
I have a prediction. I don't know why I'm feeling. I think Jeff's gonna get the first pick. I don't know what it is.
The first pick is going to
Rich.
Rich.
Oh my god.
The first pick is going to Rich. We have a winner, Rich.
I like Rich having the first pick because Justin Tucker could go right now.
Do not be surprised if a Pittsburgh Steelers defense is drafted with that.
Don't be surprised if Najee Harris or like Juju Smith-Schuster are the first pick of the draft this year.
All right, we're spinning again.
Congrats to Rich, first pick.
Le'Veon Bell is not good no more.
Newt with the second pick.
I know who Newt's picking with the second pick.
Yeah, that's a good guy to get at second because he could. I know what we're both thinking. He could.
I think he's going to have a great year, honestly.
So do I. I do too.
Even though I'm an Eagles fan. We're talking about the same guy, right?
I mean, he's my guy.
I know he's your guy. I know. For those of you who don't know who we're talking about, Saquon Barkley is definitely getting selected second overall in this draft. Newt is a huge New York Giants fan, and Saquon's also great friends with Bryce.
Saquon's my boy. He signed a shirt, made it out to me. We're friendly.
No, I love Saquon. I'm hoping he has a big year this year.
Yeah, so am I. As long as he stays healthy, he'll be a stud.
All right, so the order so far is first overall, Rich. Then we got Newt. This is for the third overall pick.
I can't wait to see who gets like fourth and fifth. Those are like the nitty-gritty picks. Dan. Dude, this is an exciting order so far. This is an exciting order.
Dan with the third pick.
Man, I want to see Rob Lee or I want to see Rob Lee or Pat Ruane real bad these next two. That would be exciting for me.
All right, fourth overall pick. Here we go.
Let's see. All right, we got to spin again. Rich again.
Spin again. All right, Rich again. We're spinning again.
Spin again.
Hopefully
we don't run into that problem too much.
Yeah, I know. Hopefully that's just a one and done thing.
Yeah, hopefully that's
I'm thinking Jeff gets the fourth overall pick here.
I was feeling Anapol first. I don't know what got into me.
Jeff's no.
Oh. Wow,
wow.
Off the board. I got the fourth pick.
All right, fourth pick goes to Bryce.
That's a tough pick this year.
Who you going?
I mean, I don't know. I mean, with those three in front of me, I literally like Christian McCaffrey could be on the board at 4. Like people are gonna be like, "You're crazy." He could easily be on the board at 4.
Yeah, if Rich goes with 2015 Le'Veon Bell.
Rich, you guys think we sound crazy? Rich could easily take he could just take like Travis Etienne with like
if Rich goes with 2015 Le'Veon Bell, and then you have Newt taking Saquon. I think Adams will go with MVP Matt Ryan.
You know what's funny? I was going to say Matt Ryan.
And I think that you'll go with either Peyton. Who are you thinking? Peyton or Pat Mahomes? That's a close call right there.
No, listen.
You're going running back. You're going running back there.
It's gonna be. I'm definitely going running back, depending on what happens. But I like that spot. I do. I like having the fourth pick.
4 solid. It's a 10-person league too. If it was 12, I'd say you're in trouble.
I would have liked to honestly had I don't know. What's crazy is I usually get the worst pick in fantasy. Every year we did our draft, I always got the 7th pick, and that's actually considered the worst spot in a 10-man league. Is the 7th pick, 7th or 8th pick. I usually always got it. So let's see the next pick. I'm off the board, Jim. Let's see. It would be crazy if you followed up right after me. Rob and Dan again. All right, we got to go again.
Got to spin it again.
It'd be crazy if you were right after me because that means Gronk's going to go with the 5th pick. If you guys didn't know, Jim drafts Gronkowski like 3 rounds too early every year. He's obsessed with the guy.
I have his jersey. Gronk was the best fantasy player of all time. The second best fantasy player of all time, Antonio Gates.
Yeah, Jim's a big tight end guy.
Big tight end guy.
Like there's a tight end going. Ruane. Wow, with the big pick, the middle pick in the draft.
That's big for you though, because on the comeback, if he messed up with a pick,
I'm loving that. That means like some random.
Yeah,
It's perfect to have a guy like Ruane in the middle because that could just mess everything up. You'd rather have a guy like Rich in the middle, honestly, than with the number 1 pick.
Here we go.
I'm actually loving my spot right now. 4. I got all these guys around me that just could go anywhere with their picks.
For the 6th overall pick,
I'm feeling Keegan. I think it's Keegan's time.
it was Ruane again.
I wish there was a way to like eliminate them. There probably is.
Oh, yeah, we'll do that right now.
Yeah, just eliminate us. Just erase us and then take the guys out. Man.
Good call.
Rich, Newt, Dan, me, and Ruane. This order is all over the place.
Wow, look at this. It's getting scary now. Here we go.
I'm really hoping Rob Lee actually right now. I would love Rob Lee right here. We still got Robbins too. So many come on, Rob. Let's go. Baby. Oh my God, Ruane and Rob right after each other. Oh, this is getting interesting.
Rob, 6th pick. Yeah.
6th pick. That's a big pick. Coming up, this is technically, I think, the worst pick in a fantasy football draft is the 7th pick when in a 10-person league.
Yeah, in 10-person, it's hard.
It's either 7 or 8, and I think it's 7. I would go 7 is the worst. I had 7 3 straight years. I didn't know if you knew that.
When you're in these later rounds, you want 10.
And I'm telling you, 7 is a horrible pick to have on the way back from like going into the 3rd round. It's the absolute worst pick to have. Just
because you're waiting so long and you don't get that much talent.
You're getting a guy that you just don't like. Like you're getting a guy that you have to take and you don't love him. Oh, Robbins.
You wanted me to get 7 so bad.
I wanted you to get 7 so bad.
Josh Robbins, 7th overall pick.
I'm loving this because right now I got Ruane, Rob, and Robbins after me, and before me on the way back, Jim, I'm feeling good. I'm feeling really good right now.
For those of you who don't know, Bryce will talk a lot before the fantasy draft actually happens, and then when the season takes off and Bryce's team just
I am known as the guy that gets the guy that tears his ACL. I am known. That's my thing.
All right.
Jim, I do want to mention before we go on that if you don't remember, I do have a fantasy football title.
I was just about to give you credit where credit's due. Bryce does have a ring. I'm known for the guy that gets to the championship every year and falls short every year. I've been there 3 times. I've lost.
He's the Buffalo Bills of the 90s. He's the Buffalo Bills of the 90s.
My team does not show up, but this year is different. There are currently 3.
Are you going to disrespect me like that on the podcast? Don't act like I'm a bad fantasy owner. That's just wrong.
I know. I didn't say that. I said you talk as if your team's going to be the best, and then it's just not the best when the season comes. More times than not.
I'm just saying. I got a lot of ACL tears.
Yeah.
Jamal Charles, both years he tore his ACL. That would hurt. That hurt. I still think about that.
No, I'll give that to you. I ride Gronkowski, so wherever he goes, I go.
Yeah, he's not. It's not 2012 though, so I'm just letting you know he's not going to be the same.
All right, 3 names left. We got Keegan, Jeff, and Jim.
To give a heads up, these are all subpartial guys in fantasy. They're all iffy guys. Keegan, are you going to have the last pick in the draft?
I'm going to have the last pick in the draft.
That's not a bad spot.
At this point, I want the last pick. I'm not going to get it.
9th and 10th are not a big not the big
difference.
Jeff is the definition of best guy on the board. So
see, now here's the thing. Yeah, with Jeff, you have all the analytics, all the statistics.
Jeff is definition of he's going to have his computer and
Jeff's like Jonah Hill in Moneyball. He's good.
He's just picking the number 1 guy. Jeff is not doing it. He's not doing anything crazy. Whoever's number 1 after 9 or 10 picks, he's picking him. Whoever's the best available, he's picking.
Coin flip. Heads or tails. Here we go.
I have a feeling you're going to be the last pick. You were the last pick in the draft. That's crazy. You could get a real solid guy right there. You could get 2 real solid guys.
10th pick's good pick.
10th pick is a good pick. Yeah, it's a solid pick. I'm pretty happy with where we ended up.
All right. Just a recap of the fantasy football draft. Once again, I'm going to remind you, this is the first annual Brothers of Broad Street fantasy football draft. First overall, we have Rich. Second, we have Newt, followed by Dan, Bryce, Ruane, Rob, Josh Robbins, Gigo, Jeff, and then me at 10. So that's it. That's
How do you
it.
feel? How are you feeling about I got to say, if I were you, I wouldn't be feeling too great in the first round because guys like Keegan and Jeff, they're going to make the right picks.
Keegan and Jeff.
There's going to be a crazy pick. Like, I mean, we laugh and we kid. We laugh and we kid, but Rich D'Onofrio could easily go DeAndre Hopkins with like the first pick. You don't know where he's going.
Yeah.
Like, people laugh like you guys don't know Rich. You don't know he could literally go Ben Roethlisberger with the number 1 pick. He's all over the board.
Yeah, hold on. Give me one. I think because we did the spin wheel, it wasn't able to record it when we like the audio version.
Well, I mean, I can remember it.
We have it on video and everything like that, but we could just to let you guys know, yeah, that was the order. I think that the back end of our draft is loaded with more of the strategic type. The front end is more of just what they're feeling.
No, I'm loving having. I think I'm going to get a stud in the second round because I got those guys following me. I love that.
Wow.
Also, we got to think. We got to think of a legit punishment. Every year we talk about somebody doing a punishment and they never do it.
Yeah.
We got to do, like, I'm thinking neck tattoo.
I will.
We should do the Waffle House thing. That's like the funniest thing.
I'm down to do that.
Yeah,
that's it. The first annual Brothers Broad Street podcast fantasy football draft order is now in session. We'll let you guys know the date.
We could do it tomorrow night. Honestly,
yeah, stay tuned. Stay tuned. This could be just like spur of the moment. We get this in, depending on all of our schedules. I'm definitely gonna be doing a couple ESPN mock drafts after this podcast is over.
I'm feeling really good about that 4th pick. You can't though because you don't know what's gonna happen.
Yeah. Wow.
It's gonna be crazy. I have
a good idea with you doing that live.
Yeah, I come up with some good ones here and there.
Yeah. But anyway, Bryce, good work tonight. Guys, I hope we touched on everything that you guys want to listen to. Bryce and I will be back on Wednesday night again.
Jalen Hurts with the 4th pick.
Yeah, lock it in.
Bryce Rockets.
Devontae Smith, 10th overall. But that's it for tonight's episode of the Brothers Broad Street podcast. Once again, if you haven't subscribed, follow us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, or you can follow Bryce and I on Instagram, and we post some stuff there. Thank you guys again for tuning in. And until next time,
go Birds.
Go Birds.